Just why? Welcome to today's video where we're going to be talking about the dreaded LTMs, or limited time modes. LTMs are a plague that has been slowly, or rather quickly, infesting modern gaming as a whole ever since Fortnite started doing them a few years back. Unfortunately, what a lot of game developers fail to understand is Fortnite's LTMs were all wacky one-off modes, which is why they were limited time. Now though, the idea is to lock integral game modes from older games as limited time modes in the new ones. It is the most whack gaming trend I've seen in recent years, and it is driving me nuts. And of course, the latest in LTMs is Rush and Conquest / Breakthrough 64 in Battlefield 2042. And you know what? This video isn't going to be all negative, because Conquest 64 is phenomenal, and I have to take back everything that I said in my previous video where I talked about the maps in 2042 being completely unusable, and basically what I said was 64-player Conquest wouldn't be able to fix the baseline map problem. And you know what? I was wrong. I have almost nothing but endless praise for the 64-player Conquest mode. It is so much better than 128 players and really expresses how 128 players as a whole just isn't good for this game. I'm just gonna take a second to gush about it all. First off, and the thing that I didn't even really consider in that old video, is performance on PC. I know for console players this isn't really a huge deal because you guys got a game that runs perfectly fine regardless of if you're playing 128 or 64. But on PC, for a ton of people, the performance is horrendous and downright unforgivable for a AAA title. But in 64-player matches, the frame rate and performance is fine and plenty playable. The biggest thing for 64 players, though, is your impact on the match. Each individual asset that you have on a team is important. Whether it's a soldier, a helicopter, a vehicle, you name it. It's important in these 64-player games, and that's just not true in the 128 ones. Taking down a helicopter or a tank is a serious credit to the team, and is something that one player might be able to pull off that could sway an entire match. I consistently get into small gunfight skirmishes across different points in the map, and each gunfight feels intimate and powerful because whoever wins that fight is likely going to move on to start taking an objective. It's not some meaningless gunfight 400 meters away from a flag. It's probably 100 to 200 meters away, and by the time you've spawned, they've pushed up to the next flag that you need to now defend. Squads actually mean something. If you have a full squad rolling up on a point and you're going up against disorganized enemies, it is a serious threat for them. And I've had more than my fill of matches where I've been working together with my squad to just steamroll the enemy team because we are well coordinated. Something that I've seen maybe once in all of my hours of 128. And finally, map flow. This is something that I didn't think they'd be able to do here, but it works out great. With the way that all the flags are laid out in a linear fashion, as opposed to the more open-ended 128-player maps, you have matches where most of the map isn't just empty space. There's small pockets of people, usually around the map, rather than just one huge clump of Zerg. And in general, it feels more like individual tactics and squad tactics matter as opposed to, oh, I ran into 15 people by myself, now I'm dead. All in all, 64-player Conquest is just an absolute blast to play, and assuming that it sticks around and they decide to go back on this horrendous decision, I honestly can't see myself ever queuing into a 128-player game ever again. It's like night and day in comparison. Now, 64-player Breakthrough I've not gotten a chance to play yet, so I can't totally speak on that topic. Breakthrough as a mode in of itself is something that I've never really enjoyed. I think it was really soured by my experience playing Battlefield 1 and going up against a load of cheese. Fun fact, trying to play operations in BF1 and constantly getting killed by space bombers and people sitting all the way in the back of the map with artillery trucks going 81 and 0 just isn't very much fun. And that experience alone has always made me not feel too highly of Breakthrough. And also coupling that with a 128-player Breakthrough in 2042 being completely unplayable and just an overall miserable experience. And Breakthrough's never really been my thing. But from what I've heard, 64-player breakthrough is a lot better than a 128-player breakthrough, with the only drawback being there's too many tickets for attackers because that wasn't adjusted. Rush, on the other hand, is another mode that I absolutely love, and when they take it away, I'm gonna be pissed. Rush is something that I honestly really thought they'd get wrong. I fully expected Rush to be a 64-player game mode, and for those of you who have played 64-player Rush in previous games, you'll know that that's a horrible experience and not fun at all to play. Thankfully though, they decided to go with 32 players, and Rush is great. I've personally never been a huge fan of team deathmatch in games, and I like having an objective to strive for. But I also enjoy myself some infantry combat, and sometimes taking a break from the tons of vehicles of Conquest is a nice change of pace. Rush is able to do this expertly. Vehicles aren't cut out entirely, as they still exist in limited capacity, and the vehicles that are there can be really impactful, especially if manned by a good crew. But for the most part, it's infantry v infantry gameplay at its best with a tight objective-based focus. And if you haven't figured it out already, I love Rush, and I think it's a ton of fun. Unfortunately, 64-player Conquest, 64-player Breakthrough, and 2042 Rush are all in the chopping block for absolutely no reason. Oh, but don't worry, the Battlefield 2042 Twitter has graced us with the opportunity to play 2042 Rush through the holidays. Yeah, fuck you. How about, instead of letting us play the game mode through the holidays, you just leave it as a permanent game mode? Rush is a Battlefield staple game mode. Why would you take it away? But you know what? There are some reasons that people have brought up for the LTMs. I think that they're just sucking Dice's cock for some reason, and I don't usually get this angry about stuff, but there's literally zero reason for this, and it pisses me the hell off. People have said that one of the reasons for the limited time modes is that it increases queue times and is harder to get in games. Bull fucking shit. You want me to let you in on a little secret? Battlefield 2042 has crossplay. That means that all three systems, PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, can all play together. In layman's terms, that increases the population of the game across all of the platforms by 3. Now yes, obviously there aren't as many people playing on PC, that's just naturally how it is, so I'm sure it's not exactly 3 times the population. But it doesn't take away from the fact that there are a lot more people playing across all 3 platforms than there would be normally. So why then are we getting less game modes in this game? In Battlefield 4, you could play Air Superiority, Capture the Flag, Carrier Assault, Chain Link, Conquest, Conquest Large, Diffuse, Domination, Gunmaster, Obliteration, Rush, Squad Deathmatch, Squad Obliteration, and Team Deathmatch. That's a lot of game modes. Now yes, towards the end of the game's population, a lot of the more unpopular modes didn't have too many people playing them. So we can probably scratch off Air Superiority, Capture the Flag, Carrier Assault, and Chain Link, as well as probably the Squad Deathmatch modes. But do you know what that still leaves us with? It still leaves us with Conquest, Conquest Large, Domination, Rush, and Team Deathmatch. That's 6 separate game modes that you could reliably find servers for on PC on Battlefield 4 right before 2042 came out. 6 game modes on the least populated system. So you're going to tell me that despite the fact that a game that's years and years old can still support 6 game modes, Battlefield 2042, a new release that has access to crossplay, can't support 5 of them? That's too many? What the fuck? And I know people are gonna come after me in the comments and they're gonna say, but Eclipse, some people turn off crossplay and now they're not gonna be able to find games because the population's split. Well, I've got news for you. If you're turning off crossplay and limiting yourself to the console that you can only play on for your selfish reasons of wanting to not run into the quote-unquote PC sweats, then that's on you, and you're the reason that we're not getting more game modes. It's you, not us. I also will let you in on a little secret that most PC players are ass. They're terrible. They're far worse than the average console player because PC gets no aim assist, which means that people that can't aim really can't aim. So if you're living under the delusion that every single PC player is going to dumpster you because they're on keyboard and mouse, that's bullshit, and you're lying to yourself. I'm sorry. But you know what? Let's just entertain the idea that you can't find games anymore. Queue times are really long. The whole population is split between all these different game modes. You can't find any games. It's hell on earth. The game is dying. Except for, no, it's not. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's this nifty system that 2042 added that replaces empty server slots with bots. Meaning even if you can't find a full game with people in it, you're still going to get in with the amount of people that are looking for games, supplemented by a few bots. I can personally attest to this because I decided to play at probably the least populated time for my region. On US East servers at around 10 a.m., I would reliably get put into games that were about half full. Around 10 to 15 players on each team, and the rest bots. And you know what? The game played perfectly fine for the 2 to 3 minutes until more people got there. And every single time, I was in a full server by the end of the game. Every single time. The end-all be-all here is that limited time modes are complete horseshit. They're a marketing tactic that's been built up over the last few years in order to make people come back when their favorite mode is available. It's been warped from one-off seasonal modes to integral modes that are part of the game being ripped out for seemingly no reason and then put back in for a limited time to make you come back, and then they're gone again. Any amount of attempted justification of, quote, not being able to find games or long queue times has long since been squashed. Those are hollow arguments when compared to the fact that this is just a marketing strategy. I pray and hope that there is extreme backlash when this stuff gets inevitably yoinked, because what kind of Battlefield game is going to knowingly, consistently remove game modes and make it harder for us to play what we want? The answer is this one, and we shouldn't stand for it. With that though, I'm finishing up here. If you enjoyed this video, you liked what I said, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. If you didn't and you think I'm an idiot, then feel free to dislike, but I won't see it anyway. YouTube removed the dislike button. And with all that being said, have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I'll see you next time.